And so, again, welcome and thanks for joining me. And so, if this is your first time, I know I'm getting a lot of extra people from different places because of the press releases, and I know you're coming from all over. So, if this is your first time meeting me, I am Dr. Tawana Carter. And as a career coach, I work with stress busy women executives who are plagued by the imposter syndrome, self criticism, and doubt by helping them to alleviate their stress, right? So that they can find peace of mind and focus on excelling in their careers. Now, I have a special treat for you this month. Now, tonight, I'm talking about the invisibility of the Black woman in the workplace, right? What is it and what can you do? Also, we're talking about for the whole entire month of June. I'm doing a series, right? It's a series of topics that basically talks about the invisibility of Black women in the workplace. And so, what do you mean? Well, we'll talk about what that is. But for the entire month of June, I'm doing this live series titled The Invisibility, say that fast a lot of times, of Black women in the workplace and how Black women can feel alone at the top. And so that alone part really is what got me to this particular series. Because if you've looked at the news recently over the past couple of months, they talked about being alone and how loneliness is really hurting different segments of the population. And I was like, and I had discussed this before with clients and different people, lots of conversation on it, that loneliness is not, it's not new for Black women. It is not new for Black women climbing the corporate ladder. It isn't new for Black women who are in government. It is not new for Black women in academia. Oftentimes when we're climbing to, whether it's a corporate ladder or profit or nonprofit, we often feel isolated at the top, and there's some reasons behind that. And one of the biggest one is the invisibility of Black women. So there you go. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take a few moments here as we let people hop on, to be sure I haven't missed any questions, because I know this was a switch for a lot of people. They had one link and they were expecting another one. So I don't have any questions. So I think that the people that are going to be hopping on will be on, and that is just fine. So if you do have comments, right? Either they're down there or they're over there or they're over there, wherever they may be, feel free to drop your comments and I will scan the comments area as I go along. So again, if you are just joining me, my topic tonight, and this is a June series, but tonight I'm talking about the invisibility of Black women. Is it real, and how does it affect you? Okay, so yeah, it's real, or else we wouldn't be here tonight, right? But so really, we're gonna do a little bit of deep dive tonight because it does deserve our attention. The invisibility of Black women in the workplace. It's a systemic issue that leaves many, many Black women feeling overlooked in the workplace, feeling undervalued in the workplace, and let's not forget, undercompensated, underpaid, and oftentimes alone when they're on that climb, they're getting at the top. Many times they're the one or they're the only one of one or two or three at the top. And it just invites this sense of loneliness. Okay. And so that's why, I'm here today, is just to shed light on this problem. And in next week's video, so be sure to hang or stick around, come back for next week. We're going to be talking about solutions. Okay. And so tonight we'll be uncovering those points, discussing what is it and how it affects Black women, right? And it's important to know because Black women, we deserve, right? We deserve to discover how we can reclaim our power and achieve the recognition that we deserve. Okay. And so before we begin, if you're on YouTube, especially, be sure to hit the subscribe button while you're there and ring the notification bell so that you never miss an episode anytime that I go live. And remember, if you find yourself feeling like relating to the struggles I'm going to talk about tonight, feel free to reach out to me for a confidential consultation, right? And I know for some folks, this is going to hit home, because sometimes people are like, it's all in your mind, it doesn't exist. Kumbaya, we just all get along. There's no color. We don't have to worry about that. Eh, Probably not true for many Black women. So tonight, let's really look at charting a new course towards a brighter future. So, the invisibility, oh, I said it again. There you go. Invisibility of Black women in the workplace. And I talked about it. Invisible, overlooked, undervalued, undercompensated. These words really catch the experiences of Black women in the professional world just all too well. Now, despite our significant contributions in the workplace, Black women will often find themselves marginalized in their careers and their achievements unrecognized. And this invisibility really affects careers in profound ways. And let's not just talk careers professionally, because when you're anxious and you bring that home personally with you, it affects you personally and your family as well, right? And it often leads to self criticism and doubt and even the imposter syndrome. So let's go ahead and unpack some things here. We say the invisibility, right? What is that? So, really, let's talk about the fact that it is the intersectionality of being Black and being a woman. Because here's what the research says: when we say man, we know what that is. When we say woman, we understand man, woman. When we further go along to say white man, people know, yes, they identify what white man is. When we say Black man, we identify Black man, we know white man, Black man, we understand that. Then we go a little further and we say white woman, people really know what that is, they can identify it. But according to the research, when we say Black woman, the identification drops, because for some people, a Black woman, they don't really see her as Black and they don't really see her as a woman. So when we say the invisibility of Black women, that's what we're referencing. Because when you say man, woman, when you say white man, white woman, it goes up. People recognize it. The recognition goes up. But when you say Black woman, it drops, because we're almost like not significantly Black, nor are we significantly woman. So people see us differently. It's in a negative light. We become invisible. Yes, we're Black, we're here, we're everywhere. But our contributions in the way people see us, we become invisible. And I had to, as I was doing the research for this, I had to take a step back and like, this is deep. I really had to take a step back and think about it, because, in my career, and I've had like 11 career transitions over, the last some odd years, many, many years. But I sit and think about the times when I did feel dismissed in a workplace and thought, it's just my imagination. Or I felt that my contribution wasn't really seen, and then someone else said almost the same thing. It's like, yes, woo, did you hear that? How great that was? How many times I thought, oh, it's my imagination, made me imagining things. But no, this is a thing and it's real, and it affects us as Black women, right? So, when we talk about the invisibility of Black women in the workplace, it does stem from historical and societal biases. Not quite seen as Black, not quite seen as a woman. So when you put the two together, Black women become invisible. It perpetuates stereotypes and really undermines the competence and authority of many Black women from in your 20s all the way up to 60s and beyond. And this exclusion from important decisions and decision making processes and career opportunities, right? It not only harms individuals, but actually the organizations and industries. So I have a comment. So yeah, for let me know if I'm pronouncing this right. Fahara says, so true. It took me for a loop, and I had to sit the research aside and digest. really had to digest as I was reading through, because I'm thinking to myself, I'm 5'9", 200 some odd pounds. How can I be invisible? But for many people, I am, because I am who I am. And it's deep. It's really deep. It took me again some, had to wrestle with this one, ladies. I had to wrestle with this one, right? And so, but organizations and industries, they're also hard because you fail to leverage one of your most valuable assets, the Black woman. I mean, let's face it, we are the highest educated populace in the United States, right? And we have this unique perspective and talents that gets ignored, overlooked, you know, just because we are Black women. And this exclusion often results in Black women being, again, overlooked for promotions and leadership positions. And despite having the necessary qualifications and expertise, we're the most educated people, right? We have more degrees than any other populace in the United States. And, our accomplishments are overshadowed or attributed to others. Whether, and you hear this a lot in academia, it's not just corporate world. So we're not like bashing corporate here. We're talking academia, research from Black women being attributed to other folks or being used to create programs and never contributed to the Black woman who actually discovered it, who came up with it. So, yes, this happens in academia and happens in government, whether it's federal, local, or county, right? State. And it also happens in corporate America. And for many Black women, and this is really why I'm doing this series this month, is because it erodes many Black women's confidence in themselves. And it hinders many Black women from being at the top, and it hinders their professional growth or even trying to reach the top because they feel invisible. And it's I talk about this, and this will probably be another live at some point. Black women, sometimes we get so used to fighting for everything we get that the fight becomes your journey versus what you were actually trying to get. So that's a whole nother topic right there. And I've talked about this over the past month with several people, and I probably will come back and identify it as well. So if that's a topic you like to talk about, you like to be on that, have a different way that you like to see me present that, do drop me a comment and let me know, right? Because for Black women, we have to fight for so much that the fight becomes a goal versus your original goal, that career fulfillment, whether it's in corporate, academia, government, entrepreneurship, right? We get lost in the fight, and that's all we know how to do is fight. So I have another comment. LinkedIn user says, I have learned how to identify these issues in my career thanks to Black women who are brave enough to identify and talk about these patterns in gratitude. Yes, yes. We have to talk about it. Some folks are like, I don't want to say Black woman too much because I don't want people to like look at me differently. We got to talk about it. Too many, I get a lot of my clients that come in and their self-esteem is so low. Their self-value, they don't even see their value. They don't see their self-worth because they've been invisible for so long in work environments that they actually start to believe, well, I don't have anything else to contribute. I want to get out of this particular job, but I don't do anything of importance. And that's where I step in as a career coach, because I really do hit hard and I coach on, let's look at your value. Let me help you find what your value is and elucidate it for you so you know it. And you go out and you get the job that pays you for your value and your worth, right? Thank you, LinkedIn user, for that comment. I do appreciate that, right? And so, let's look at the career implications. And because as a career coach, that's what I do, right? The invisibility and, oh, there it is again, invisibility of Black women has a ripple effect on their careers, right? Black women face limited access to mentorship and sponsorship opportunities. Now, this is an issue because there's not enough Black women in the pipeline, in the corporate America pipeline, and other places. And so when I say that, we're not saying that, only Black women can mentor or sponsor Black women. But the thing is, is Black women were invisible. So other mentors of other persuasions and sponsors of other persuasions overlook us. And so the one of the best ways around that is to have Black women in that pipeline. So when we reach that point, we don't make each other invisible. We shine the light and we become visible, right? This the invisibility of Black women was important enough. Now, that's the first step in my client journey. It's visible. People are like, why would you say that? It's visible. After seeing so many women, they were invisible. And some women we're even invisible to our own selves. How can we make ourselves visible to let someone know you should hire me for XYZ if we're invisible for our own selves? So that's how important this visibility is for me. It's the first step of my client journey. So when I talk about, VIP, it's an acronym: visible, implementation, act on what you learn, prosperity, not just money, but being, you know, healthy, happy with who you are as a person, your prosperity in your relationships, prosperity in your banking account, checking out, obviously, but those relationships and how you feel about yourself. That is my VIP journey: visible, implementation, and prosperity. That's how important that is for me. Right. And so, yes, in certain industries, Black women, there's a dearth. There's just not enough mentors nor sponsors, which make it difficult for Black women to navigate through these industries and to develop their skill sets, right? Because if you want to make corporate, you got to have a sponsor. Oftentimes you can go through, and I'll go it on my own, I do it myself. But when it comes to corporate, you need a sponsor. You need someone in that room talking for you when you can't represent yourself. Networking is also a challenge. It can also become a challenge as you're excluded from influential circles that open the doors and foster those professional connections that get you to the C-suite, right? And let's not forget, I mentioned it before, underpaid. Additionally, pay disparities, they're going to exist. They're going to persist. With Black women, we already earn significantly less than our white counterparts. But you talk about being invisible, this is a perpetual issue because financially, there's always going to be financial inequity. As long as we're invisible and our pay reflects that, you're going to have difficulty building wealth over time. Just hundreds of thousands of dollars. I talked about before, just on a estimated calculation, I lost out over $900,000 because I didn't get this at first. I didn't. That's why I am a career coach now, to help folks get this, to get you across that line. Because that $900,000, it isn't someone else's checking account. It isn't someone else's 401k. It missed mine. And so I don't want anybody else. I don't want anybody else to have to miss that. And it limits economic mobility, right? And especially when so many Black women will just drop out, like, forget it, I can't make it, I can't do this, I can't do this. And they just drop out and do something totally different, which is not as economically, healthy or earn as much money. So we lose wealth unless, we really need to get to a point where we help ourselves to not do that. Right. And so, really, I wanted to hit really what, when we say the invisibility of Black women, like, yeah, it is a thing. And I also told you about how it affects your career. And it also will affect relationships, right? Because some of the most successful women, Black women, will have the most awful relationships, right? Because we'll be on our game professionally, but relationship wise, we falter, we have anxiety, and we don't always make the best choices. Well, when you have anxiety, you're living in survive mode, you don't always make the best choices. And even if you do okay in your career, you don't necessarily do okay in your relationship. So, really, my coaching is about changing that. All of that. We'll start with the career, but it also looks at changing your relationships as well. Healthier relationships, healthier for you and healthier for the people who exist in your family, in your sphere, in your circle, right? And so remember that feeling invisible or dismissed, it's not your fault, right? And as a career coach, I'm really here to help support you and guide you through these challenges. I want to be sure I get the comments here. Yes. Thought I saw another comment pop up there. Right. And so, if you're hearing this and it really is resonating with you because you're feeling invisible, understand it's not your imagination. This is real. And it happens again from academia to corporate to government and all levels of the government, right? So, if you hear this and it's resonating with you, go ahead and reach out to me for a confidential consultation. You really can drop VIP in the comments, DM me VIP in the comments, and I'll reach out to you and then set up my 30-minute call. I just changed my process, so it's now no longer 15 minutes, but it's a 30-minute career solution call. And really, we'll get together and look at the best plan for you and how to navigate and empower you to achieve your professional goals. Okay. And so again, the invisibility of Black women in the workplace is a pressing issue, but there is help, right? There is help, right? So thank you for joining me. And if you found this video insightful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up or like, and remember to share this. We can all profit from this knowledge. If one person understands, I'm not in my head thinking I'm invisible, or my thoughts, or my suggestions, or my questions, my projects, my customers that I serve, my programs are not counted at the same rate or as high as others. It's not your imagination. It happens to us because of the invisibility of Black women in the workplace. All right. So, again, this is a series that I'm doing this month. So, tonight I told you about the invisibility of, say that again, invisibility of Black women. Is it real and how does it affect you? So, I have another comment. So, Fahara says, I have tried to break into tech for 2 years, but I have given up because of my experience with the individuals that I have come across in corporate. Thank you for sharing. So now you understand. And honestly, research says that Hispanic women and Black women are leaving tech at higher rates. This invisibility thing attributes to that. And you're so welcome, Fahara. I appreciate your comments and thank you for joining in. But yes, this is a thing because people will have you say, oh, you're just playing the race card again. And it's all in your imagination. It isn't. This is a thing, and research supports it. Okay. So be sure to come back next week because I'll be talking about the invisibility of Black women, strategies to succeed. We told you what it was tonight. Come back same time, 8:35 p.m. Eastern, 7:35 p.m. Central Standard Time, and 5:35 p.m. Pacific Standard Time when we're talking about some strategies to succeed because, we're resilient, right? We've gotten this far, we will go further. But again, if you're feeling that way right now, like I'm at the point where I'm just ready to give up and call it a day, drop VIP in the comments. And I'll get in touch with you to go ahead and set up that 30-minute career solution call to see the best way to make you visible to you first and then to everyone else. Thank you for joining in. I appreciate you for hanging here to the end, and I will see you next week.